Hey guys, this is John Tripp, and this video is going to be the first video in a six-part series which covers the various bioinformatic tools used in the EDNA project. Alright, to get started, one of the first things that you'll want to do is you want to go ahead and go on NCBI or the Database of Japan or whoever you want to use. You want to go ahead and download whatever host you want. Now in this case I'm using a eukaryotic plant host. And that doesn't mean you have to use plants. You can use any kind of host you want. I've used soil as a host before. And we've used various foods as hosts. So it really doesn't matter. You just want a host that either provides you a good background or that is relevant to whatever the pathogen is that you're looking at. And so the bacteria I used for the purpose of this illustration is Ralstonia. And this, I did download the entire genome of this Ralstonia, and I believe it's GM 1000. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and open up MetaSim. Then we want to go to New Project. Now you can either do this before or after you import your files, but you'll want to select Database. This is where we're going to import our files from. So we'll right-click and Import Files. And I typically like to grab my host sequences first. They are a lot larger than my pathogen sequences. And if I have any issues with how I saved them, maybe I saved them in the wrong FASTA format. I didn't use FASTA, I used a different format. Which is what I did here. When I had saved these, I didn't save them as FASTA. They, for whatever reason, saved as a text. And so I had to go in and select all files to go find those. And so once these are uploaded, the next thing I'll go in and do is I want to go in and grab my target pathogen. And this is a pathogen that I want to look for whenever I build my mock sample database. I want to look for this pathogen. And once I design my electronic probes that are going to be used to search this database. So here's the RSGM1000 target, as I named it. Go ahead and import that. So we have all of our files. Next thing we'll want to do is we'll want to go ahead and select all of these files. Okay, then you want to go ahead and create a taxon profile from this selection. And you can title this whatever you want. I just simply created or titled it RS for Ralstonia. Okay, in this section here, what this is going to allow us to do is alter how much of our pathogen is in there. And so because we know that typically your host is always going to be much more present than your pathogen, you'll want to go ahead and increase this pathogen so that it actually shows up in your mock sample database run. So I'm just going to bump this number up to 500. The bigger the host is, the larger you'll need to make this number. Of course, it also depends on the pathogen. If your pathogen has a lot of sequences in there, then you might not need to make this number so large. Just to verify, you can look here, we have 500. So next thing we'll want to do is we'll go ahead and run for selected profile. And I typically like to title this RS/500 since I changed it to 500. That way I know which run this was. Okay, if you look up top on the left, you see the 454 choose setting. That means that this is going to simulate a 454 pyrosequencing run. And we put the total reads for this at 10,000 because we actually use a 454 junior. Okay, now it's finished. And if you want to verify that this has done what it's supposed to do, this is kind of a snapshot of everything. Basically what MetaSim has now done, it has basically simulated a 454 pyrosequencing run. That's only cost us maybe just a few minutes here of putting in a little bit of data. Okay, now if you're curious, okay, well, so what's my total pathogen reads do I have in this 454 run? Because we know we had 10,000 to start with, you can simply just move the decimal point over, or you can go ahead and plug in the number, so 1,313. you'll divide that by 10,000, and then you'll multiply that by 100, and that'll give you your percentage of actual pathogen reads that you have in this 454 mock sample database. Okay, we'll go ahead and close this out. And now what you'll need to do is you'll need to go find where you saved all of this data from this run. And when I first did this, I actually had changed my location that I wanted to save all my data. So I thought I had put it here, but I actually had put it in a different folder. So I can obviously see here that the file I'm looking for is not here, because what you're going to look for is a compressed file. Instead, it was in this other folder. And I just went in here to MetaSim, and my name. And then you can see right here we have a bunch of compressed files. And we can look at the date, or you can look at what you tiled with the original file. And originally I named it as just RS. So here we have just the RS compressed file. And what I like to do is I'll take this file and I'll transfer this to a portable hard drive or a USB thumb drive. Typically, anything that's out there these days, being 4 or 5 gigabytes, I mean, it's more than enough room for this file. These files aren't that large. And the other thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and rename this file. That way, if I have 4 or 5 of these, I can keep everything in line and know what I'm actually working with whenever I go over to Linux. And so for the purpose of this, I just renamed this as RS500. Okay, now we're finished. Now you're ready to reboot and go into the Linux operating system.